There's been a lot of anniversaries this year and changes to some people's lives. A good friend of mine I know just graduated from high school and is now going into nursing school at my college. Superman celebrates his 80th and the 1000th issue of Action Comics. And as for me, this year, it's my fourth year of doing this. 4 years ago, I decided to sit down and read A Sweet Taste of Cake. Because for me, I was kind of feeling down that there were tons and tons of fanfics out there that weren't getting the respect they deserved. Like A Sweet Taste of Cake, Getting Back Our Hopes never finished. It's a Dangerous Business, as I recall, is still undone. And several more. There were so many fics out there that weren't just the grimdark stories, that weren't just the sad fics, or even OCs, or Gary Stews, or self-inserts, or bad fics that are meant to be riffed. So, I sat down and read A Sweet Taste of Cake. Granted, it was kind of bad. I mean, the audio was shit. There was a buzz. It was silent. So, what would I do if I had done it now? Well, considering the fact that during this year I'm trying to do fanfics that have inspired fall, I think the only thing to do right now is to play A Sweet Taste of Cake for all of you. And let's compare how I did back then and how I'm doing now. So without further ado, A Sweet Taste of Cake by Descendant. First chapter. Enjoy. A Sweet Taste of Cake by The Descendant. Chapter 1. The Dance. Since the frosting seemed to be ready, Cupcake used the confessor's tube to test it by gently placing a large white dollop across the nose of her husband. Kara's eyes crossed. He looked first at the frosting, then turned to her with a smile. As he tilted her head, her own smile grew and answered his. With a little giggle, she went out to fetch more components of their unfolding creation. The sweet smell of gingerbread drifted around the kitchen of Sukicube Corner. The gingerbread came closer to being ready, the heat of the oven falling over them, draping its warmth and soft smell of what sat within around the happy pair. The gingerbread house had been in special order. They had begun working on it as the day had broke. The two went about purposefully, determined that they would compete with this work together, that the two of them would bring it to fruition. Kara prepared the board, laying the waxed paper across it evenly so that it lay taut. He quietly surveyed it, his eyes focusing past the little amount of frosting as he inspected his work. Happy with his efforts, he surveyed the tools. The bowls, the spoons, the measuring cups, all seemed ready for the crafting in the gingerbread house. All was ordered in order. He closed his eyes. It was heartwarming eve, and he listened to Cupcake as she hummed a holiday tune. She felt the warmth of the oven shifting in unseen ways as he began to pull the trays from within. As he waited for the pieces to cool on the baking rack, they cut off any slight imperfections by slowly sawing away any speck of bubbled surface that blemished the gingerbread. With all that was remained was to wait. She moved inside him and rubbed against the length of his body before nuzzling beneath his chin. Ba-da-da-dum-dum. Her humming brought his eyes down to hers, remnants growing in him as she did. She tossed her head, motioned towards the grouping of the largest and flattest pieces, ones that resembled a dance floor. Da-dum, dum-da-dum. She continuously pressed against him, beginning to sway gently. He joined her in the rhythm as a memory of a day, now long past, swept across the two of them in time. Oh, don't look now. But I think you've got your first request for a dance coming down this way. The other bear stifled a giggle and lifted her head from her little drink. With Cuss's eyes and a toss of her gray mane, she let her gaze flit from between her glasses. She saw the colt awkwardly making his way towards them, bouncing off of dancers and waiting for the other revelers to pass as he did. She smiled a bit and turned to her companion. I do believe you're mistaken, Cuppy dear, she said, lowering her head and whispering into the ear of her friend. It's the kid colt. He's had his eyes on you, and since we trotted in here. Cupcake glanced and spun her head around exactly the same way. She warned Ivory not to. There was a moment of panic as her eyes accidentally met the green ones of the colt. He blushed sleeplessly as he waved for more dancers to part before him. Her head went to the table. Mary used one hook to shield her from view. But, that can't be Ive! Cupcake exclaimed as she startled. And why not? Because you always get to ask the dance first. I hardly ever get to ask. And what I do is just coach my father. Well, said I really happily, looking over the top of her glasses at all the ponies assembled in the dance hall. There's one street that ends here rather soon. Oh, but what should I say? My suggestion would be yes. Oh, hello, Carrot. How are you this evening? Oh, hello, miss, he began, stretching his long neck forward and down, attempting to answer her, the gangly colt looking small as he did. Oh, no, that Carrot, she answered with a smile. We aren't on Father's meal. Please just call me Ivory. Have you met my dear friend Cupcake? I would introduce you to her dear friend Peach, but she seems to be dancing with a certain stallion. The colt's eyes lifted immediately, meeting the gaze of what he saw last night. She spun around to look at him, an uncertainty lying across her own face as she listened to the colt. He stared down at her, trying to speak, but instead getting caught in her eyes. Her beautiful, rose-colored eyes. He swam in them in an instant before finding the words. Oh, yes, you see, I've seen her, you, Miss Cupcake, but I haven't had the chance. You see, I wanted to introduce... Just ask her to dance already, can it? Interrupted Ivory, as she leaned in to take a sip of her drink. Somewhere there's a very cute, southern lady that's going, yeah, Saffron, do it! I say do it, girl! Go for it! Get that man! Hold it. What can I say? They're perfect together. Would you care to dance? He finally asked, swallowing his nerves. Cupcake turned to Ivory. The mare arched an eyebrow at her. She remembered the earlier advice. She breathed a yes before putting her hoof in his. Ivory smirked to herself as the two ponies went off, watching Carrot do his best to clear the crowd so they could pass. She hated being here on Fridays. It was always so crowded. Then again, that's why she demanded to come. She knew that today was the day Carrot came, hoping to hide in the crowd. That, of course, was why she had badgered Cuppy to accompany her. They were always barely visible among the thronging ponies, but she smiled to herself as she watched the couple begin to dance an awkward little dance. She giggled softly, took another sip, looked at the many sets of eyes that were all nodding and smiling at her. Friday. It was not the most graceful dance that the old hall had ever seen. Only the conversation was more awkward. Cupcake winced inwardly each time that the weak-jawed colt tried to speak, expecting each statement to be the one that betrayed his interest in his father's business, thinking that the next few words would be the ones that revealed him to be just like the other colts. The old dance floor groaned beneath the weight of the couples. Cupcake laughed a bit inwardly at this colt. Carrot tried to simultaneously lead them around the floor to avoid the other dancers. As he tried to engage her in conversation, he was suddenly looked rather perturbed and turned to apologize to a blushing mare or scowling colt. He would then ask her where they had been going with the conversation as he blushed. She found herself smiling as they both tried to focus on her and quickly stammered through apologies. As he quickly went through the last of what she recognized were obviously practiced questions, Cupcake realized he had only been asking about her. He really was only interested in her. Her sympathy rose for the gangly cult as he sighed. This, isn't going too well. No, no, it isn't. She answered over the music humming the crowd. To her alarm, he seemed to deflate. But, she continued, running her little along his foreleg, was her own surprise in his. Please, don't stop trying. Carrot's ears came up as he lifted his head and looked at the open windows of the dance hall. Beyond them, the lanterns that hung from the eaves of the porch bobbed in pools of light, holding back the gathering dusk. Miss Cupcake, would... he stuttered. He took another breath and apologized to another couple that spun away before he had finished speaking. Do you think we could go out into the porch? Oh, I thought you would never ask, she giggled. Cupcake tucked in beside him as he used his frame to slice through the couples in the crowd. At the table, Ivory watched them fight out the doors to the far side of the hall. Till he danced nearest the bandstand. Well, she thought with a slight chuckle, that certainly took long enough. The flickering lights in the lanterns competed with the flash of the lightning bugs in the grass beyond the dance hall. As Carrot and Cupcake moved from the glow of one lantern to the next, they looked for an open spot along the railing. Soon they found one. They sat there looking past Ponyville to the fields of grass beyond where the insects appeared as pinpricks of light that erupted and flowed with wobbling trails. Oh, I should have asked you if you'd like a drink, he said, putting himself across his eyes. No, no, I'm all right, she said, looking down and running her hoof along the splinter. The old dance hall had seen better days. Perhaps he did not have much time left, despite his popularity. She realized that he had gone quiet. The cult was simply looking at her and blushing. She thought about that for a moment, and then returned to the smile. He used up all his prepared questions. He was out of things to say. He did not know how to go on. All his carefully practiced words had been spent back out there on the crowded, noisy dance floor. And yet he still sat there, blushing, looking at her with a small, dopey smile. Thank you. Thank you for the dance. I really wanted to talk to you, ever since I saw you walking with Miss Ivory at the mill, he began. Oh, yes, I saw you peeking me at that one time, and the other time, she answered, voice showing that she was glad he had found something they could discuss. Oh, you did? He said with some surprise. I mean, I didn't mean to stare, but... She smiled and moved a bit closer to him, sat beside him as the little pools of lighter light fell over them. No, it's fine. Thank you, she said softly. I never get to ask the dance all that much. I've always get asked first, and I have to sit there, don't you know? All the pretty males get asked before I do, the ones who aren't just round. You aren't that round, he said. At once the colt bolted in place, shock washing over him. With a sigh, he lowered his head to the railing of the porch, resting there as he looked down with a subtle disappointment. I should have said you aren't round. That was what I was supposed to say, right? Turning his head slightly, looking at her with one eye. This isn't going very well. She gave a little laugh. She slowly rested her head on the railing as well, turning it so she peered down with a small smile. It looked as ridiculous, slowly banging his hand on the old weather-worn railing. The prowler shook with each strike. But he wanted to talk with her, dance with her, even for just a little while. Was this interested in meeting her? Just her. Well, no, it isn't, but, she said softly, please, don't stop trying. Carrot eased his self-depreciation and waited for the sawdust to stop falling from the ancient railings before slowly turning his head. She was leaning upon it too, her face being revealed as he tilted slowly toward her. There was a soft expression over her face. Her perfect rose-colored eyes caught his as he sat in the lantern light. Those eyes. The porch was mostly deserted now. Other couples who had been crowding it were either broken up for disappointment, or those whom the evening was progressing much more pleasantly, and waiting for the field of tall grass and woods just beyond. The music of the dance hall began again, the sound drifting over them to the open windows. Ba-da-da-dum-dum, began the music once more, floating out into where it stood behind the railing. She lifted her foreleg, waving it towards him just a little bit. He lifted himself, gathered off the offer hoof, and led her to the open space beside the windows. Da-dum, dum-da-dum, continued the song as they began their dance one more. Together, they swayed back and forth as the tune fell over them. As they moved from pool of light to pool of light that cast shadows over the length of the porch, she moved her eyes from his, touching her cheek to his just for an instant, before laying her head against his withers. With that, they danced their dance for a good long while, as fireflies flashed along the tall grass in the woods beyond. Being quarry means that since the day you were old enough to say your name, you know it has two meanings. Being quarry means feeling your strength, knowing where to pull resources from, how to accomplish things. It means being resourceful, strong and forceful like the very rock of the world's foundation. Being quarry also means feeling pursued, hunted. It means feeling, knowing that they are always trying to take everything from you. Being quarry means having to be strong, proud, and need to be brutal. The walls of the gingerbread house lifted easily from the wax paper. Carefully, delicately, the two ponies removed each piece from the paper, laying the enlarged portions slide daintily against the drying rack. Cupcake looked at the largest sections over, glancing up to her husband as she nodded at each piece appropriately. She giggled slyly to herself as he turned away, knowing that the large bit of frosting still clung to his nose, that it still stood starkly where she had laid it as the project began. He readied himself before the board, wordlessly taking up the familiar spot he had occupied every time they had worked on a project of this type. With that, the two began a familiar dance, one that he practiced time and time again, yet each time new and wonderful. She held the first two pieces of gingerbread in place, held the one that would become a wall to the foundation. Slowly, Cupcake drew the confectioner's tube along the inside seam, leaving a trail of perfectly even frosting to bind the pieces of gingerbread together. With practiced hooves, they followed these steps, attaching each new component, laying this firm foundation that the gingerbread house had depended upon. Finally, after long, cutless, and wordless moments, they had completed the foundation. To Kara's surprise, she finished the last seam by stepping into his outstretched forelegs as he held the two halves together. As the frosting emptied the tube, the last line was completed. She stepped back into his chest, resting there as both waited to see if what was down on his own. As she moved into his embrace, he lifted his head so the dollop of frosting on his nose would not catch her remain. Carefully lowered his head again, laying his cheek to hers as they watched, waited, and hoping that what they would build could stand long enough to become one solid piece. In their thoughts, the two raced back to a time when things had not been so certain, when they too were just starting to make a foundation. "You don't need to keep poking around the corners, Cuppy," said Ivory, looking through some of the papers on the desk. "I promise you he's here. We'll go in a minute. Look, that's his name on the timesheet." Cupcake stopped peering scarcely up and down the mill floor from the office door to look instead to the large board that hung on the wall. She followed the long list of names until her eyes settled on his. Carrot Cake, it read in small, rather plain script. She looked at the name for a lingering moment. "Oh, Olive, do you think you'd ask me to—" Cupcake said, turning within the office. Ivory slowly moved on stack of papers, placing them seamlessly at random, giving each one an introspective hum. "I don't see why not. He was quite taken with you Friday. As a matter of fact, I don't see why he hasn't asked you then." She spoke, setting the paper down. "I honestly don't know why," Ivory said, looking almost puzzled. "I can't say why he hadn't asked you then." Cupcake had only barely heard Ivory's puzzlement. She had already returned to the door, staring up and down the long pieces of the meal. "Oh, Ive, what am I going to do if he doesn't ask me?" she asked in a worried tone. "Well then, you shall be the one to ask him," replied the other mare as she watched Cupcake steal long looks outside the door. Cupcake turned again, the mare almost looking surprised. Is it okay to do that? She asked in earnest. I mean, I don't think... Oh, help me. You've done this so many more times than I have. Ivory arched an eyebrow and raised one of her forelegs. Oh, I don't mean it that way. I don't, said Cupcake as he tried back and forth on her hose where her oldest friend stood. Oh, Peppa had this so much easier than I did. She nuzzled over Ivory's chin, drawing the mares up to her weathers as she did. Cupcake spoke in a high, almost worried tone. I don't know why I'm like this. I've been thinking about him all weekend, she said, still resting her head on the weathers of the other mare. He just wanted to talk with me. He had been trying to since he first saw me. Oh, he didn't care to have a little round, don't you know? Me, Ive. Not talk about father or his business. This me. Oh, Ive, why do I feel this way? Ivory laughed a small laugh and laid her head deeper against Cupcake's. You honestly don't know, do you? You honestly don't. Oh, Cuppy, you have no idea how dear you are. Ivory said in a quiet tone, as she let her friend rest her upon her for a moment longer. Cupcake lifted her head, and looked at Ivory as though she wanted to ask a question. Before she could speak, Ivory already gathered up her hoof, and was leading her out the door. With a small gasp, Cupcake entered the mill floor. As he went, slight traces of stray flour fell through the shafts of light that came within the windows. High above the bagging rooms, great belts turned the wheels that drove the machinations of the mill. As the great wire wheel turned the wires of the river into the power to drive the machines, it cast cylindrical sounds into the high, hot places of the mill. In one such place a colt struggled, cursing to himself as a bag of flour he was supposed to be tending to fell to the floor. He knew enough not to put the spilled flour back into the bag. As still more flour came pouring out of the grindstones, he fought to figure out what to do with what had fallen out of the large sack. He kicked at it and tried to clear away. All that accomplished was make the flour rise up in a cloud that stained his legs white. Carrot sighed as the floor supervisor, Trammell, caught sight of him and began touring towards the stall. I'm sorry, Trammell, you just got away from me, said Carrot, gathering the broom into space beneath his shoulder and along his foreleg, sweeping as much flour as he could into the still. Cut that! This is your second missed bag this morning, spoke the large earth brownie. You mostly are keen here, are you, Will? No, I mean, yes. Oh, no. I don't mean I'm sick of you or anything, but, began Carrot, taking a deep sigh. Trying his best to keep the new bag from filling position as he cleared the old one away. I met a mare Friday at the old dance hall, and all weekend I've been Tremolo arched an eyebrow, smiled slightly, and a blissful expression fell over the face of the colt. I've been thinking about her all weekend, he said softly as he looked up to Trammell. You met her, actually. Well, see her. She's Miss Ivory's friend, Miss Cupcake. You know, the mare who's been with her from time to time. Trammell took a few steps back. I called it out a sing-song and along the bag of cells. Oh, hello. What's this? Fellows, it turns out Cupcake likes the round ones, announced the stallion. Laughter came from nearby bagging stalls, rising even above the sounds of belts and wheels. Soon nearby, colts were shouting their own opinions. Hey, Subsets, what you look for a mare? Breather works. Ah, you picky. Trammell smiled to Rod as he turned back and saw Carrot sit on the floor. She's not that round, said Carrot. The colt raised his head to the slowly filled bag of flour and lifted it to a constantly turning belt of bins. With that, it was first raised up over the wheel, then slid down into the mill below. Sorry, Curtin lad, said Trammell as he cleared away the last pillar of flour. Didn't mean anything by it. Did you ask her for it to eat? There was a thud. Trammell looked up to the weak-jawed colt banging his head against the side of the stall. No, but I wanted to. I just froze up. I can't believe it. I froze up. Carrot banged his head against the stall once more, then turned to his bag. All I could do as Miss Ivory came to take her home was to say good night over and over, like an idiot. I'm sure she liked dancing with me. I think she likes being with me, Carrot said, his voice getting stronger as he spoke. She's so beautiful, but that's not even half of it. She was so understanding, and when things went wrong, she was calm and stern, forgiving. Carrot turned to the older pony, looking for a voice. Trammell, what am I going to do? I don't know why I feel this way. I never felt this way for a mare before, he asked the older pony. Carrot saw something in a panic shoot through the eyes of his supervisor, as they questioned, drifting along the clouds of flour.
It appears as though you've got the chance to explore these feelings, lad. Here comes the big fish's daughter, and she's got your fellow Thompson with you,
he said as Tremble raced off to make sure that his floor was spick and span.
Oh, Celestia!
Cried Carrot, darting back with his bagging stall. As he heard the host of Ivory and Cupcake draw closer, ran his forelegs through the hair to straighten it. As he realized that he just streaked flour to his mane, he yelled at himself, being it but as his style to sneak loose whatever flour he could. Then turned to his back and attempted to look as though he had not heard them coming. His eyes went wide as he realized the bag was too nearly full and was only seconds from tipping over. He quickly pushed it in clutch, pulled out the old bag, and placed the new one beneath the grindstone's outlet. As he released the clutch flour once more, poured into his stall. With some practice effort, he lifted the large bag into the constantly circling containers and watched it travel up and down to wheel into the mill below. He turned around just in time to see the tails of Cupcake and Ivory pass by, having missed him completely, while his back was turned to him. He sank against the stall wall just to get down. Why couldn't it be that easy? Ivory smiled as they crossed the floor, nodding and greeting her father's employees. Cupcake's head, however, was on a swivel, making her looking left and right, searching the bagging floor as they went. As he came upon the bagging stalls, she heard Ivory's name over the sound of grindstones. Steve was a supervisor who had called for him. They tried to where he awaited.
Good morning, Trevor, spoke Ivory.
Good morning, Miss Script, and good morning to you, Miss Cupcake.
Cupcake smiled to him and replied, happily, that the supervisor had somehow remembered her name. Looked at her knowingly, a slight smile that she could not place sitting on his face.
Miss Cupcake!
As he heard the voice called over the sound of her bells,
Miss Cupcake!
Came again, competing with the wheels. She looked around, up and down the mill floor, both anxious and eager. She had thought it come from the bagging stalls, yet, when she looked that way, it was only a flash of a moment. Cupcake spun and looked up the length of the mill in the other direction. Had it been an illusion? No sooner had she done so than her name came ringing out again from the stalls. She spun in time to miss it once more. Ivory giggled to herself, even as she continued to speak with Trammell. She lifted her left rear hoof and planted firmly against Cupcake's posterior. With slightly more than a gentle nudge, she sent her friend cantering down the bagging stalls. Trammell looked at Ivory with a meaningful smirk. Ivory tossed her head and gestured to follow. Soon, they were watching the scene as it unfolded. Cupcake cautiously crept along the stalls, poking her head to each slightly. As she came to the last one in line, she poked her head within. Carrot turned from the bag again, upset at having to call her out in such an ungentle way, having to sat over the belts.
Miss Cup!
He began, turning to the opening of the stall. With that, their noses met. For a long moment he sat there, nose to nose, green eyes cast down to the pools of rose-colored ones. The two held their gaze for what seemed like a perfect eternity. With that, the flour began pouring out of Carrot's bag.
Oh!
Carrot said, noticing the waxing red cloud.
I'm sorry!
Carrot turned to face the unfolding disaster. He caught the bag just in time, trying to go through the motions while speaking to her.
No, it's fine,
he said, pressing the clutch with one hoof, while trying to adjust the bag close to it.
It's fine, really.
As he tried to place the bag on a siphon, he tried to speak with her again. His hoof came out the clutch just long enough for a single poof of flour to shower his forelegs.
Oh dear, I didn't really mean... Really, it's okay, I was just trying to... Bag? No, yes, I mean, thank you,
he said as he slid the new one across the spigot. As he did, he lifted the bag up to the containers, giving a little groan as he did so from an unfamiliar position, leaving the room for her within the stall.
I was hoping you'd be around today. I had a great time at the... Clutch! Wait, I'm glad. Dance? Right now?
The two continued to start in conversation. Soon stifled giggles rose around them.
You're no help, Ive!
Called Cupcake, giving a disapproving glance.
You don't help at all!
Well, hello, you two. I do believe we tossed for double occupancy. I say, did you remember to sign on the timesheet before starting today, Miss Cupcake?
That's a small laugh of his own.
Here,
spoke Cupcake, tossing her out to Carrot's foreleg. Instantly captured her attention.
Let's do this here, this way. Okay. Soon, she had worked out a system, Carrot marveling at her decisiveness. Shortly, they were able to work and speak to each other at the same time. What I was trying to say is that I really had a great time dancing, she said. She pressed the clutch, scooting a filled bag closer to the moving containers. I'm so glad, Carrot replied, removing the filled bag and placing a new one beneath the siphon. They lifted the filled bag as he placed it beneath the containers. I was really hoping you did, he said as he blessed. Well, yes, and well, I did, she replied. For a moment, they worked silently. Ivory closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Carrot did as well as turned, to face the mirror that stood near him. I was wondering, Miss Cupcake, he began. Maybe if you'd like to? Yes, she answered questioningly. Really? He answered enthusiastically. I'm sorry, what? She began. To Carol felt a clutch of confusion. In an instant, the newfound regiment broke down. Flour once more floated down with the spigot. As Ivory and Trammell laughed, Carrot attempted to place a new bag while moving the full one to the containers. The cult simultaneously holding in the clutch at a display of aerobic prowess. This led to lifting the bag, only useful thing the Cupcake could do. She attempted to lift the hard, heavy sack into the hopper, giving a cry as she missed it by fractions of an inch. A rear host danced as she stood upon them. And she a second hopper as well, and with that she began to topple. I got you! Carrot cried, as he knew what was about to happen. And once his forelegs came up around her, her body lifted around her. His hooves slid across the length of her forelegs from behind, pushing the bag higher, leaving her wrapped around his legs. For Cupcake, that moment grew, drifted around her. As his forelegs met hers, framed encompassing her, the sensation of being in contact with him flashed through her. To her, it was still they were dancing again. All the wonderful feelings that they had shared rose up from once more. She did not know why, but as he held the bag above them, she surrendered her hold on it. She willfully leaned back against his chest and settled there, where her head lay there. It somehow felt welcoming, inviting. She gave a small gasp of realization. Finally, in that instant, realizing why he had been in her head over those last few days. As he gave her a gasp, it drove through him like a soft call of doves. At once, the feel of her upon his chest filled him, and he went stark still. Gravity was unimpressed by the touching scene as it played out. It pulled on the string of causality. With that, the bag of flour toppled over them. Ivory's half had gone to her mouth in alarm, but as the flour cleared, revealed two figures unharmed by the accident. Her alarm gave way to cheerful expression as she saw how closely the two figures stood, covered together from forehead to hoof in a perfect coating of white. Cupcake felt Carrot's foreleg lift from her eyes. As he did, she realized he had placed him there in the last instant, keeping her safe from harm. She turned and looked up to him, the entirety of the weak-jawed colt covered in flour. As Dremel pulled to safety, it ended a cascade of flour pouring from the spigot. Cupcake smiled and lifted her hoof to his face. Carrot felt Cupcake's hoof drawing across him, swam in her soft touch as he removed the flour from over his eyes. Soon he heard her say, They're clear now. He blinked. Soon his green eyes once more met Rose. Miss Cupcake, he said as he blinked, his smile glowing through the flour. I would like to see you again. Can I, please, have a date? I would love to, she said, placing her hoof along his as they sat looking to one another. A little puff of white rose around them. I'd love to. How about this Saturday? Oh, yes, sir, yes, he said, his awkwardness returning. You at the gazebo? Oh, yes, that sounds wonderful, she answered as he blushed brightly, the hue visible through her new coat of white. Around them the flour swirled for a long while, then their eyes lay upon one another. So Ivory let Cupcake get off to get cleaned up. She could help but not notice how the two messed up. Arrayed together in white. Saturday, said Cupcake, looking back to where he stood. At the gazebo. Noon. Righty? Righty, he answered. She trotted away with a giggle, as beaming Ivory followed, leaving pools of flour across the floor in her wake. After a moment, Carrot stepped forward, found her hoof print left in the flour. He could not know why, but found himself selecting the most perfect one. Not a sensation floated over him. Before he had even completed the act, pressed his hoof into the flour beside it. The two hoof prints stood there with the sea of flour, side by side. Something within him sang happily.
Go home, lad, spoke Tremble. You're coming down with something and you're no good to me at the moment.
I'm sorry. Am I ill? Replied Carrot. I feel sick. I feel great, actually.
I should say so, replied Tremble as he cleared the fire from the stall. That's one of the symptoms of love sickness, actually.
Carrot looked back at the stallion. Since I grew on his face. Once his eyes fell back onto two perfect hoof prints, face lit with enlightenment. I'm falling in love, he called his face breathing. Oh, Celestia, I'm falling in love! And thus began my long adventure. Something I plan on continuing. um, as I said before at the beginning of this video, 4 years ago, I was kind of upset that it seems like everywhere you look, you would find a new Fallout Equestria or find a brand new Past Sins live read. Hell, some of the people I follow are doing Past Sins. And it kind of annoyed me. Because there's one of the main great things that the pony fandom does well is create such beautifully awesome fics. And everybody kept focusing on the same ones again and again. It's a dangerous business. No. Last of the Dragon Lords. Nothing. So, I decided to sit down, inspired by Scribbler and Losty and Mag, and just start reading my own. And you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. I love how Mike on one of the comments tried to say,
I can see what's going to happen to you soon. You're going to be pulled away. You're going to wonder why.
He said, and that'll be called How It All Ended. Hate to tell him this, but I plan on retiring when I'm 45. Because I love doing this. There are just so many more fanfics out there that need to be read. That need to be explored. Because, not every fanfic is a Starfleet. Not every fanfic is a Gary Stu, romance laden,
oh yeah, my OC is so awesome
type of story. Not every fic is like that. But people so much focus on that type of thing that all the good ones like this get swept away. And as much as I love going mad and enraged and yelling, these are the type of stories I want to bring out. I want people to see what this fandom, what every fandom has to offer. That's why I did Fandom Fridays. Because there are so many more stories to be told. So many stories to be explored. Memories to be had. Inspirations to be given. And that's why I love doing this. That's why I'm going to continue loving doing this. Because I want to bring out these stories. I want people to read them. I want people to see them. Hell, I've got a whole tons of favorites that I have yet to do. So, I want to thank you all for 4 years. And thank you for an excellent time in listening to this little insane netboy. See you next time.